Hey, welcome to the Sunday preview for this fifth Sunday in the Lenten season, which means we're getting close to Holy Week. And so we have this great reading from St. John's Gospel about the raising Lazarus from the dead. It says in chapter 11, "Now a man was ill, Lazarus from Bethany, the village of Mary and his sister Martha. Mary was the one who had anointed the Lord with perfumed oil and dried his feet with her hair. It was her brother Lazarus who was ill. So the sisters of Lazarus sent word to Jesus saying, 'Master, the one you love is ill.' When Jesus heard this, he said, 'This illness is not to end in death, but is for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified through it.' Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When he heard that he was ill, he remained 2 days in the place where he was. And after this he said to the disciples, 'Let us go back to Judea.' The disciples said to him, 'Rabbi, the Jews are just trying to stone you, and you want to go back there?' Jesus answered, 'Are there not 12 hours in a day? If one walks during the day, he does not stumble, because he sees the light of this world. But if one walks at night, he stumbles, because the light is not in him.' He said this and told him, 'Our friend Lazarus is asleep, and I am going to awaken him.' The disciples said, 'Master, if he is asleep, he will be saved.' But Jesus was talking about his death, while they thought he meant ordinary sleep. And Jesus said to them clearly, 'Lazarus has died, and I am glad for you that I was not there, that you may believe. Let us go to him.' So Thomas, called Didymus, said to his fellow disciples, 'Let us also go and die with him.' When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, only about 2 miles away. Many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them about their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, but Mary sat at home. Martha said to Jesus, 'Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you.' Jesus said to her, 'Your brother will rise.' Martha said, 'I know he will rise in the resurrection on the last day.' And Jesus told her, 'I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, even if he dies, will live, and whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?' She said, 'Yes, Lord, I have come to believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, the one who is coming into the world.' When she had said this, she went and called her sister Mary secretly and said, 'The teacher is here and is asking for you.' As soon as she heard this, she rose quickly and went to him. For Jesus had not yet come into the village, but was still there where Martha had met him. So when the Jews who were with her in the house comforting her saw Mary get up quickly and go out, they followed her, presuming that she was going to the tomb to weep there. When Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, 'Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died.' And Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her weeping. He became perturbed and deeply troubled and said, 'Where have you laid him?' They said, 'Sir, come and see.' And Jesus wept. So the Jews said, 'See how he loved him.' But some said, 'Could not the one who opened the eyes of the blind man have done something so that this man would not have died?' So Jesus, perturbed again, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay across it. Jesus said, 'Take away the stone.' Martha, the dead man's sister, said, 'Lord, by now there will be a stench. He has been dead for 4 days.' Jesus said, 'Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?' So they took away the stone. And Jesus raised his eyes and said, 'Father, I thank you for hearing me. I know that you always hear me, but because of the crowd here, I have said this, that they may believe that you sent me.' And when he said this, he cried out in a loud voice, 'Lazarus, come out.' The dead man came out, tied hand and foot with burial bands, and his face was wrapped in a cloth. And Jesus said, 'Untie him and let him go.' Now many of the Jews who had come to Mary and had seen what he had done began to believe in him." The Gospel of the Lord. Well, that's a long and rich gospel with so much there, but just maybe one or two comments. I think it's the sort of gospel you just read and reread and let it sink in because it's so beautiful. But there seems to be this bit of a tension between Martha and Mary and Jesus, that they're expecting him to come right away and cure Lazarus. And Jesus is about something bigger and deeper. He knows it's the Father's plan to let Lazarus die for the glory of God to be shown in this situation. And I think what Jesus is working on is that we all have a tendency to kind of utilize God for our purposes. And we want this fixed and that fixed, and this pain to go away, and this suffering to go away, and this illness to be cured. But God has a deeper and much more profound interest. God wants us to really focus on the person of Jesus and put our trust and our faith in him no matter what. And I think that's why Jesus delayed a couple of days. Jesus could have given a long distance order that Lazarus be cured. He didn't have to go all the way down to Bethany from Galilee. He did that plenty of times where he cured people long distance. But he wanted to let it play out that way so that they could express their faith in him as the Messiah, as Martha did. I have come to believe that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And for Jesus to say, I am the resurrection and the life. In other words, Jesus wants us to put our trust and our faith completely in him. Not just what he can do for us, how he can make our lives easier, but really to focus on the person of who he is. And then the glory of God's going to be shown by God doing the ultimate miracle of bringing Lazarus back from the dead. And that's just a hint of the resurrection of Jesus to come, which is more spectacular, right? Because Jesus, once risen, never dies again. Lazarus went on to die again, who knows when, but he died again. The resurrection that we will have on the last day will be like the resurrection of Jesus. Our bodies and soul will be reunited together, and they'll be glorified for all eternity. I think Jesus is inviting us to focus on him, because only he can raise us up forever.